Hello, everyone. So, recently I spoke about a bunch of comic book ideas, and I mentioned that for some of my stories, I want to have A and B segments, which basically means two issues in one. That's fantastic, but what about some stories that I just don't have a second segment for? I just can't think of it at that moment. And of course, I want to point out that I am impatient, and I have plenty of ideas I just want to push out immediately. And of course, I was thinking, okay, I can't give them I can't give every story massive volumes. What I can do, however, is, publish them in a variety series. That will be interesting. For example, you get 5-in-1 stories, which could span from a variety of genres, depending on the age group of this series. And for every issue, for example, issue 2 of 5-in-1 will feature, each series being issue 2. So everything will be consistent in that order. And let's just say if each issue is like 40 pages, which means 20 back to back, obviously I can't dilly-dally around because I'm drip feeding you the story. So, the story will eventually finish within a few issues. You could say maybe 50 issues it'll take, which is a lot, but, since it's quite short altogether, yeah, obviously things will fly by really quickly. And the thing is that once I have enough of these 5-in-1s, I can separate the stories individually in their own separate collections, which is fantastic. So if you just want to read one of these stories, then you can just go to the collections instead. Now, of course, I do have ideas for large volumes to be published of stories, well, comics. For example, let's just say I have, this 250-page comic book. Now, of course, it'll still have that same 3-act structure, but obviously I can do a bit more, and, I can plan it out a bit more if I'm going to have a much more longer arc that spans multiple books. But at the end of the day, I'll be able to do a lot in one book. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that publishing, smaller issues in a variety comic is bad. It's just that some stories can't really benefit from having its own volume published immediately, So yeah, I feel like it really depends on the story. And I do have these type of ideas, for like massive individual comic book volumes, and then for variety stories. So I think, I have a lot of girl stories, and some of them I just can't give their own massive volumes. You just can't really stretch the story enough to do that. So what I can do instead is just, publish in a variety, and that would be fantastic. Also, I have, some for a smaller demographic. So obviously you'll get that. And I was also thinking of having more of an action series, for boys. But, obviously that'll just may not happen immediately, because I have a lot of ideas, especially for girls' stories, and some of them just can't be told in massive volumes, so they have to be told separately. But, it also depends on what exactly I'm telling. For a lot of the girl stories, it's not only going to be action, it's going to be a variety of things. Same with boys, but I have a bit more action series for boys. So, that will take a while because, trying to draw action stuff, it's going to be really difficult. But anyways, regardless on that, I hope, this type of, comic book publishing works for me, because as I said, not every story requires like a massive volume immediately. But anyways, thanks so much for watching this video. Tell me your thoughts below. Bye.